Hello and welcome to part 2 of my casserole carrying series. Of course, part 1 was for a 9" by 9" Pyrex dish. This time we are doing a 9" by 13" Pyrex dish. Now, of course, both of these projects will fit a little bit smaller, a little bit larger, so you don't have to only have that exact size Pyrex dish. And if you want to make the smaller version, this one here, then check out my links in the description below because I will have this tutorial linked down there for you. All right, let's jump on in and get sewing. You will need some Pellon Insul fleece, some batting, as well as 2 coordinating cotton fabrics. We will also be doing some quilting in this project, so you may want some 505 spray or some quilting pins. You can use normal pins too if you're in a pinch. You will also need webbing at 1.5 inches wide. You'll need Velcro without the adhesive backing. And then we will cut the Pellon Insul fleece, the batting, and the 2 cotton fabrics all the same size. They will be cut at 41 inches by 34 inches. Starting with the fabric that you want on the inside of your casserole carrier, lay that right side face up on top of the Insul fleece layer. So the silver from the Insul fleece will be face up, and then you'll lay your fabric on top of that. Then I've got a few photos to show you here because I'm going to use the 505 spray, and I like to do that on my dining table because I have more space there. So what I've done is I've laid a bed sheet down to protect my table, and then I've got the Insul fleece laying there, and then I've got the fabric laying on top of that. And what I do is I just pull half of the fabric back, and then I shake the 505 spray. I spray the top of the Insul fleece as well as the back of the fabric, and then I hand press it down, and then I flip it to the other side and I do the same thing, and that's how I get my fabric to stick to its backing. So I do the same thing with the green fabric on top of the batting. You can see my batting is a bit wonky. I did a rough cut on it and I will trim it back a little bit later. And then I'm going to make marked lines. Now I have a Hera marker, which I will use to push my lines into my fabric, but you can easily use a water-soluble marking pen as well. And what I did was I marked a center seam, and then I measured 2 inches to the right and 2 inches to the left from that center seam. And then I took it to my sewing machine. I did use a walking foot on my sewing machine, but that is not necessary to do this project. And then I sewed seams following all of these lines using, I don't have quilting gloves, but I have clean gardening gloves, and they do the same thing. Again, it's not something that you need, but I find that the grip from the gloves just takes the pressure off of my hand as I'm guiding the fabric through my sewing machine. So you are essentially quilting 2 panels. So 1 layer of fabric is on the batting and 1 layer of fabric is on the Insul fleece. Once you have your 2 panels quilted, then lay them right sides together and then pin them together. I will pin them closer to the center and maybe pin on the corners because we are actually going to be marking a square on each corner that we will be cutting away. So you don't want your pins to be in your way. I also have this weight here because I'm working on a smaller table and I don't want my project to slide off as I'm pinning it together. So at the moment, my project is laying where it is 34 inches wide and 41 inches high. So that's important when you start going to the corners because the corner will need to be measured 12 inches down and then draw a marked line, and then 11 inches wide and then draw another marked line. And then you will cut away that corner. So you will do that on both corners, 12 inches down and 11 inches wide, only if you are working on your fabric 34 inches wide. I'll throw a diagram up here just so that you'll have something that you can reference to later on when you're actually doing this. So double check that reference. So once you've marked all 4 corners, then just snip them away and then move your pins so that they're holding the fabric together that you will eventually sew together. Now, don't toss away all of this extra fabric that we've cut away from our panel because I am going to come up with a tutorial next week that will show you how you can make use of this excess fabric. So I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be just yet, but just know that if you come back next week, you will get to see what you can do with that excess fabric that we've cut away here. All right, so our 4 squares have been cut away, and now I have pinned all of these layers nicely together, and I'm going to twist my fabric so that I am looking at one of the longer sections of our fabric here. So I'm going to twist it so that it's the 41-inch wide now. Now this bottom edge of our fabric should be 17 inches wide, and I'm just going to grab a few clips and I'm going to clip around an 8-inch wide section on the bottom that I am not going to sew across. So I'm just using different pins so that I know to not sew across that section. Then take it to your sewing machine and you will sew around the entire project using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And you will start with a back stitch, go all the way around, pivoting on all of those inside and outside corners, ending up to the other odd clip that we've placed there, and stopping with a back stitch. Now it's time to snip our corners. So you have some inside corners and some outside corners. So let's work on our inside corner first. I'm just going to draw with a Sharpie my seam allowance here so that you can actually see it on the camera. That way I can show you a little better where I'm going to clip. I'm going to clip down the center towards that seam allowance, making sure not to snip into my seam allowance. And then I'm going to just trim away any of that excess fabric in that corner. Do that for all of those inside corners. Then we'll move to our outside points where you will just trim away the point and a little bit of that excess fabric around those points. This is once again just taking away any excess bulk. That way, when we turn the project right side out, all of those points will look professional. Now, there is one more step that you need to do before turning your project right side out. Take this to your iron, and that open section, you just want to press those flaps open. You need to do this with a low heat setting on your iron. Do not use a high heat setting at this point. And then just press those flaps down and out of the way. This will help once it's turned right side out to just line up those edges so that they are neat and tidy. All right, now comes the simple step where you just reach on in and start turning your project right side out. And once it's right side out, then reach on in and just gently with your fingers start pushing all of those points out. And if you need a crisper point, you can always reach on in with something like a chopstick to gently push out those points. Just make sure to do that gently so that you don't push a hole through the point. Then take your project back to your iron and press all of those edges nice and flat. Once again, doing this with a low heat setting on your iron. And then clip across that opening. I also like to throw clips along all of the edges that I've pressed, just that way they cool a little bit flatter for me. Then take it to your sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance around the entire project. All right, so this is how our project is looking so far. If I throw my long Pyrex dish in there, it fits in neat and snug. But now, of course, we need to add our Velcro and then our handles. So first things first, I'm gonna work on the bottom 2 flaps on the inside of the project. So my roses here are going to be the inside of my carrying case. And I have cut 2 7-inch strips of the soft Velcro and 2 4-inch strips of the soft Velcro to place on the inside. So we've got a wider flap and a narrower flap. On the narrower flap, I'm going to mark 2 inches in on both sides. Then I'll line up my 4-inch soft Velcro along the inside of that marked line and pin it in place. Then along the larger flap on the bottom here, I'm going to mark 3 inches in And then I will lay, again, it's the soft Velcro. You want to make sure it's the soft Velcro. This is the 7-inch length. I'll lay that on the inside of this marked line as well and pin it in place. Then you can take it to your sewing machine and sew a rectangle around the entire edge of that Velcro, holding it in place and of course starting and stopping with a back stitch. I like to fold the other 2 flaps that don't have Velcro on them just yet, and I pin them in place. That way it's just a little less bulk near my sewing machine as I'm adding the Velcro. All right, so now that I have attached my Velcro on the inside of my panel, I need to add the rest of my Velcro to the outside of my panel. So I've got my 2 4-inch strips that will once again go on that narrow section, and then my 2 7-inch strips that will go on the wider section. I'm going to do the same thing, measure 2 inches in and draw a line, and then lay my Velcro along the inside marked area, pinning it in place. This time, of course, you are using the rough side to your Velcro. And the reason why you want the rough side on the outer panels is that way, as you use your project, if the rough side ever snags some of the fabric, you won't really see those snags because it will be on the inside of your project, not the outside. So for your larger section where you're adding your 7-inch Velcro, you will once again measure in 3 inches from both sides and then lay your Velcro accordingly. Once again, I'll pin away the flaps that I don't need to sew around so that it's less bulk at my sewing machine, and start and stop with a back stitch, sewing your Velcro in place. All right, so far it is looking really good. I like how everything is lining up and hugging my Pyrex dish so neat and tidy, but we are missing something very important, and that is the handles. So grab your 2 yards of webbing that you have, and you will just loop it together and then sew a rectangle around those ends. Make sure, of course, that your webbing is not twisted in any way when you do this. Now for myself, one end of my webbing is actually neatly melted from the factory, so I'm just going to lay it over the rougher side of my webbing where I cut it. However, if both of your sides are rougher, then just fold your webbing over so that you have a neater end, and then you can sew your rectangle around that. All right, so now you have your looped webbing, and now it is time to add it to the outer side of our panel. So for myself, that's this green fabric here, and I would like my webbing handles to go along the wider section of fabric. So lay it so that the narrow pieces of fabric are sticking to the right and the left, and your wider pieces of fabric are to the top and to the bottom. Then take your ruler and mark a 3-inch in line from those top and bottom flaps in, and just draw all the way along. As you can see here, I'm doing that on the right and on the left, 3 inches in. And then we will need to find the center of our fabric. So for myself, I'll just fold my fabric in half, finger press a crease, and then I can open it up and draw a plus sign right where the center of my panel is. Then take your ruler and line it up along those 3-inch marked lines that you've already created, and then draw straight across where that center marking is. So open up your looped webbing. Once again, make sure it's not twisted. And then you're just going to finger press where the center is of both ends. Both ends being, I like the one end that's sewn together. That's obviously going to be on the bottom of our handle. We don't want to see that. So I've pressed it so I know where the center is on my webbing. I'm going to line it up with the center line that I drew on my panel, and with that 3-inch marked line that I drew as well. You will do this with your webbing and line it up on both the right and the left lines that you created.
As always, make sure that you are not twisting your webbing when you are doing this. Before you take your panel to the sewing machine, we need one more marking. So grab your ruler and mark 4 inches from that center line out on your webbing. For myself, I found it easier to draw the line on my fabric than I did on the webbing, but you're going to go 4 inches down from center and 4 inches up from center on both sides of that webbing. And that will allow you to create the rectangle that you need to sew around your webbing to hold it in place, starting and stopping with a back stitch once again. Just a little tip, because you are working with a little bit of excess bulk there, I like to just roll up those outer flaps and just pin them in place. That way they stay out of the way while I am attaching my webbing. And now that the webbing is attached, just take it to your iron, grab your iron on a low heat once again, and press away any of those marked lines. Or if you used a water-soluble marking pen, grab a wet cloth and wipe all of your marked lines away.
And that is how you can make a casserole carrier. I hope that you enjoyed this large version. If you want to make the small one, I have that linked in the description down below. And don't forget to come back next week to find out what we are going to make with those extra scraps that we cut away from our panels. I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. Hit subscribe if you don't want to lose me on YouTube, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.